Welcome to The Wonderlab. The story begins to tremble. Beneath deserts and jungles, under oceans and ice, we find evidence that the world once knew more than we are willing to remember. Someone built with knowledge that should not have existed. Someone mapped the stars before telescopes, carved stone before iron, measured time before clocks. Imagine walking across a barren plain in the rising dawn. Ahead of you, enormous pillars rise from the earth, circles of stone so perfectly arranged they mirror the constellations above. Each one weighs more than 10 elephants. They were raised 12,000 years ago, at a time when the textbooks say mankind was still learning to plant seeds. Who were these builders? Hunters? Priests? Survivors of a forgotten age? The carvings show scorpions, lions, and stars, not the drawings of simple herders, but the language of astronomers. They built, and then, for reasons lost to us, they buried their temple in sand, sealing it like a message to the future far across the ocean. In the thin air of the Andes, another mystery waits. Stones the size of trucks fit together with the precision of machine parts. No mortar, no iron, no wheel. Yet each block locks into the next, as if the mountain itself had been folded by design. The people who came later, Inca, said they did not build it. They said the work was ancient even to their ancestors. Was it chance that these forgotten engineers aligned their walls with the solstice sun? Or were they following a pattern older than memory? Look beneath the waves. Off the coast of Japan, divers glide through blue shadows where terraces and steps lie carved into bedrock. It looks like a sunken city. Roads, altars, columns resting 100 feet below the surface. Scientists argue, nature or human hands? But the lines are too straight, the angles too deliberate. And if it was once above water, that means it was built before the sea rose, more than 10,000 years ago. Across the world, in India's Gulf of Kamhat, sonar reveals streets and walls under layers of mud. Pottery fragments found nearby are 9 millennia old. A metropolis drowned when the ice melted and the oceans claimed the coast. Maybe that is why nearly every ancient tale speaks of a flood, a deluge sent by gods, or by nature itself to cleanse the earth. Not one story, but a shared memory, if those cities truly existed. Then our timeline, the one printed in every school book, is only the latest chapter of a much older book. A book written by civilizations that rose, fell, and left behind only echoes. The jungle hides such echoes well. In the heart of Central America, temples pierce the canopy like mountains of stone. Once, they were painted bright red and gold. Now the forest wraps them in silence. The people who built them charted Venus, measured time with calendars more accurate than ours, and then vanished. No final battle, no plague recorded in stone. They simply walked away. The same pattern unfolds half a world away in the valley of the Indus. Streets laid out in perfect grids. Drains, baths, public granaries, all evidence of urban genius. Yet when the river changed its course, the civilization disappeared as if it had never been. Again and again, humanity rises, touches greatness. And then the page turns and the story resets. Maybe that is why we feel nostalgia for things we never lived, the ruins, the myths, the stars. Somewhere inside us, an old memory stirs. A whisper from another time? Asterisk. What if the ruins we see are not the beginning of civilization, but the end of something far older? Imagine this. Tens of thousands of years ago, when the ice still gripped the north, small groups of survivors watched the stars shift, carrying with them the memories of a world that had drowned. They taught those memories to their children in stories, symbols, and stone. When they spoke of gods descending from the sky, maybe they were not gods at all, but the last engineers, astronomers, and healers of a forgotten golden age. We see the same memory repeat itself around the world. The Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki beings of wisdom who came from above. The Egyptians told of the gods of Zep-Tepe the first time, when knowledge and order were given to mankind. The Greeks remembered Atlantis, a mighty kingdom swallowed by the sea for its pride. The Hopi spoke of past worlds destroyed by water and fire, each time humanity reborn from a few survivors. Are these myths? Or are they memories encoded in stories to survive the erosion of ages? In Egypt, the oldest temples align perfectly with the stars of Orion's belt. The Sphinx, weathered by rain long before the desert formed, stares east toward the rising sun. Who carved it? And why does its body bear the scars of water in a land that has known no rain for thousands of years? Beneath its paws, hidden chambers are rumored to exist, sealed since the dawn of time. Some say they hold records, the knowledge of a world before ours. Let's step across the sea to the island of Malta. There, beneath the ground, tunnels twist and chambers descend, carved from solid limestone. Skulls found within are elongated, the walls etched with spirals and strange geometric symbols. The builders vanished. Even local legend says they were taken by the earth. I'll go east again to the plains of Turkey. Below the city of Deringu lies a labyrinth. A city built underground with ventilation shafts and wells, large enough to shelter 20,000 people who needed to hide. And from what? Was this a refuge from invasion? Or from the sky itself? Some researchers whisper of ancient catastrophes, a comet impact, a cosmic storm that wiped out nearly all life. Around 12,800 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, sudden fires swept the continents. Layers of black glassy soil, the black mat marked the destruction in North America, Europe and beyond. Could this have been the reset? The event that erased the unknown civilizations and forced humanity to start again? In the aftermath, only fragments remained, scattered knowledge, sacred geometry, and stories of gods who once walked among men. The survivors became the seed of our known history, Sumer. Egypt, the Indus, the Andes, each one rising like a phoenix from the ashes of a lost world. Music softens, ethereal female vocals hum faintly. Look closely at their works. The same symbols appear again and again. The spiral, the serpent, the sun. The serpent, winding and coiled, represents not evil, but knowledge, the DNA of creation. The spiral mirrors galaxies, hurricanes, and seashells, a symbol of infinite cycles. How did cultures separated by oceans carve the same sacred patterns, measure the same stars, build pyramids aligned with the same constellations? It's as if they all remembered something, a design encoded deep within the human mind, waiting to be rediscovered. Some call it collective memory. Others call it ancestral knowledge. Whatever it was, it guided our ancestors to rebuild what had once been lost. And perhaps, even now, it guides us still. The deeper we look, the more we realize that the story of Earth is not a straight line, but a spiral. Civilizations rise, fall, and rise again, each leaving whispers for the next. We are not the first to look at the stars and wonder who we are. We are only the latest to remember. Asterisk, what if the ancients did not only build with stone, but with sound, energy, and vibration? The world we know today runs on electricity, invisible, powerful, controlled, but long before Tesla, before wires or circuits. Some of Earth's earliest monuments may have been energy machines in stone. The Great Pyramid of Giza, not just a tomb, but an instrument. Its interior shafts aligned precisely with specific stars. Its shape, angle, and materials, limestone, granite, quartz, conduct and resonate frequencies of the Earth itself, beneath it. Underground chambers hum at 110 Hz, a tone proven to alter human consciousness. Was it meant to honor the gods? Or to connect with them? Similar resonances appear in other places. At Stonehenge, when the wind moves through the circles, the stones create harmonic vibrations. In the temples of Malta, the oracle room amplifies the human voice into a deep, haunting echo. These are not accidents. They are tuned chambers, ancient acoustics, crafted with mathematical precision. Could sound itself have been their power source? Some researchers believe that megalithic structures were built where Earth's magnetic energy is strongest on ley lines, invisible rivers of electromagnetic force. Ancient maps show temples, pyramids and stone circles placed along these lines. As if the builders were charging the planet like a battery, They may have understood something we have forgotten, that matter. Sound and energy are one. The same geometry reappears in art and architecture, the flower of life, the golden ratio, the precise angles of sacred malice. To us, they are symbols. To them, they were equations, formulas for harmony between the earth and the cosmos. In South America, the walls of Sacsayhuaman curve and interlock as if the stones were soft when placed. Their surfaces are melted, fused as though shaped by heat or a lost chemical process. In Egypt, tool marks appear as if carved by drills. Spinning faster than modern steel could handle, were these the hands of primitive masons? Or the echoes of advanced knowledge that slip through time? But if they possessed such mastery, what destroyed them? The clues point to the sky. Ancient texts speak of fire from above, of stars falling, of gods wielding lightning. Some catastrophes we can confirm: volcanic winters, asteroid strikes, sudden sea rises. Imagine a comet break. The oceans boil, the air fills with ash, and the sun disappears for generations. Civilization would crumble. Cities would vanish beneath waves and sand, and when the survivors emerged, the knowledge of the old world would remain only as myth. Maybe that's why every ancient culture speaks of teachers, sages, gods, or shining ones who came after the Great Flood to reteach humanity how to live. In Mesoamerica, they called him Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent who brought mathematics and astronomy in Egypt. He was Thoth, the ibis-headed master of wisdom and measurement, in Sumer. He was Enki, the god who saved mankind from the flood. In Greece, Prometheus, the bringer of fire and forbidden knowledge. The names change, but the story remains the same. Someone, or something, helped restart civilization. Could it be that after the cataclysm, the survivors carried fragments of technology, star maps, energy principles, sacred geometry, and used them to guide the rebuilding? Perhaps they became the gods of legend, their knowledge so advanced that early humans mistook science for magic. If so, then we are not the peak of civilization, but part of a cycle, one that rises, falls, and begins again. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, they say, history repeats itself. But what if it doesn't repeat? What if it spirals? Every rise, every fall, the same pattern, the same mistakes. Just at a higher turn of the wheel. Thousands of years ago, our forgotten ancestors may have reached heights we cannot yet imagine. They mastered the balance of energy, earth, and spirit. They built monuments that still defy time itself. But in their greatness, they may have grown blind, proud, careless, convinced that nature could never turn against them. And when the sky burned, when the oceans rose, their empires crumbled into myth. Look around today. Our cities glow with artificial light. We bend the earth to our will, reach for the stars, split atoms to create power or destruction. We call it progress. But to the ruins, it might look like déjà vu. Slow piano chords begin the ancients, built in harmony with nature, temples aligned to the sun. Pyramids placed to honor the magnetic flow of the earth, we build against it. Concrete over soil, towers that block the wind, machines that drown the silence. In the end, their monuments still stand. How many of ours will survive 10,000 years? The Maya, the Indus, the Sumerians, all reached incredible heights. They traded, calculated, mapped the heavens. And then silence. Some vanished in drought, some in flood, others in reasons unknown. Always the same story: abundance, expansion, collapse. Music deepens. It is as if the earth herself resets the stage. Wiping away what has gone too far, the pattern even appears in ice cores in geology. Every 12,000 years, massive environmental changes, extinctions, shifts in climate, magnetic reversals. Could we be approaching another turn of that cosmic clock? Our ancestors may have left warnings, hidden in myths and monuments. The Sphinx staring east, the Mayan calendar ending a great cycle, the alignments pointing to stars that mark time itself. Maybe they weren't predicting an end, but reminding us of the last time the world began again. Music softens emotional tone. Think about it. We discovered electricity barely 150 years ago. The internet just a few decades past. And yet we stand on the edge of artificial intelligence, genetic design, and quantum energy. If a single global catastrophe struck today, a solar flare, asteroid, or flood, how long would it take before all of this, everything we know, turned into legend? A few survivors in the mountains, telling their children of glowing cities, flying machines, voices carried through the air to them. It would sound like gods. The line between myth and memory is thinner than we think. Maybe we are not the first modern world. Maybe we are just the first to rediscover the power that others once held and lost. What if all the mysteries, the pyramids, the alignments, the sacred geometry, are not random relics, but the fingerprints of a message left for us? It says, remember who you are. Remember what you have forgotten. In the stillness of the ruins, if you listen closely, it feels as if the stones themselves are whispering, not of power, not of gods, but of balance. The knowledge that to survive the next cycle, we must live with the earth, not against it. Asterisk for thousands of years. We searched the stars for answers, when all along, the clues were written in the stones beneath our feet. The ancients did not vanish. They transformed. Their voices echo in our languages, their measurements in our architecture, their mathematics in our DNA. The golden ratio found in the Great Pyramid appears again in the curve of a seashell, the spiral of galaxies, even in the pattern of our heartbeat. The ancients were not worshiping the sun or the stars. They were honoring the pattern of creation itself in their temples. They meditated not to escape reality, but to tune themselves to it, to the rhythm of earth, to the vibration of life. Maybe that is the real secret of their power. We built machines. They built harmony. Today, as our science expands beyond the stars, we are beginning to rediscover what they already knew, that matter is energy. That thought can shape reality. That consciousness itself is not bound by time. Quantum physics speaks of fields, vibration, observation, the same truths that ancient mystics described in temples long ago. The language has changed, but the essence remains the same. Slow breath sound, a pause before reflection. What if our ancestors tried to leave us a message? Not in words, but in geometry, sound, and light, the universal language of all intelligent life? Look at the mandalas, the crop formations, the fractal beauty of coral reefs and neb. It's as if the universe itself keeps painting the same message across every scale of existence. You are part of the pattern. You are the continuation. Maybe we never lost their wisdom. Maybe we just forgot how to listen. The more we search the ancient world, the more we find that their technology was not just physical, it was spiritual. The true power they held was awareness. Awareness of energy, of balance, of the invisible connections between all living things. From Egypt to Tibet, from the Andes to Angkor, every sacred site aligns to the same celestial truths. These were not isolated cultures. They were fragments of one great memory. A memory we are now piecing together again through science, archaeology, and consciousness. The cycle that once destroyed may now renew. Perhaps this is why we are awakening. Why humanity is beginning to question its past, its future, and its place in the universe. The ancients left us maps not of land, but of mind, and those who learn to read them will see that the greatest temple was never built of stone. It was built within us. Maybe that is the true legacy of Earth's forgotten civilizations. They were not warning us of the end. They were guiding us toward a beginning. Asterisk night falls over the ruins. The stars above shimmer just as they did 10,000 years ago. The same constellations that guided the ancients now watch over us. The circle is complete. Once, humanity looked up at these same stars and saw gods, myths, and eternity. Now we look and see galaxies, but maybe it's the same thing, just through a different language. The ancients spoke in stone, in geometry, in silence. We speak in data, in code, in machines that hum with electricity, but beneath it all, the same force moves through us, the same rhythm that built pyramids and pulses through atoms. For thousands of years, we searched for proof of their existence. But what if the real proof is within our own reflection? Every time we create, every time we dream, every time we look at the stars and wonder, we become them again. The civilizations that came before may have fallen, but their light didn't die. It moved forward through time, through memory, through us. Their wisdom flows in our veins. Their questions burn in our hearts. And maybe that's the point. They were not meant to last forever. They were meant to awaken us. The stones whisper, "Do not fear the fall. For every end is only the shadow of a beginning." The earth will teach us again how to balance, how to heal, how to live not above nature, but as part of her eternal design. One day, far in the future, our cities too may crumble. Our steel may rust, and our names may fade into dust. But perhaps someone will walk these ruins, brush away the sand, and feel the same questions stir in their soul. Who built this? And why? And then they'll realize the answer has always been the same. It was us. It has always been us. The dreamers, the builders, the seekers of light across every age, every rise and fall. One civilization, humanity reborn again and again. Remembering who we are the children of forgotten worlds, the inheritors of lost wisdom, and the architects of tomorrow. The stars remember, the earth remembers, and now, so do we.